All right, Aquarius, it's a little bit difficult. So, burnt by the sun, ambition, extension, and reach, and then the prison wave, self-sabotage, and poverty consciousness. I think a lot of you, are just burnt out. Burnt by the sun is my I overdid it card. It's like pushing and trying to accomplish something, but then not actually reaching that goal and then burning yourself out. But I look at that with the prison wave, and I think that, the reason why your thoughts are in this place of it's not going to work, I can't, there's nothing that I can do to make this work, is because you've been trying, but you're getting burnt out on it. And I don't think it's because of, something that you need to, practice on or anything like that. Because Burnt by the Sun talks about like, wanting to run a marathon without ever having run a mile. I don't think that that's it. I think that you do have experience. I think that this is about a situation that it's not your fault that it's not working out. But I think that you're getting pushed to the point where it's like, I can't do it anymore. I'm just burnt out on that shit. All right, here is your overall. The Six of Swords. I look at that with the cards that fell out, and I think that for a lot of you, it's like, you know what? I'm not dealing with this anymore. I'm getting the hell out of here. With the Six of Swords being the overall, you're not wanting to deal with this anymore. You're wanting to move on. You don't want to deal with the conflict anymore. You want to get to a place where things are a little bit more calmer for you, emotionally and mentally here. Now, for some of you, you're going to have to move on from a very confusing situation and see it for what it is, right? But we'll see here. Okay. And, again, going back to burnout, yeah, it would make sense. And you kind of getting to a place where, okay, I can't do this anymore. I have to move on. So strength is the past, you trying to find the inner strength to continue doing something here. Yeah. With the moon, though, I don't think that you're caught up in any kind of an illusion here. I really think that it's something that, you just can't, it's like you can't figure it out. But it's not what you need to figure out for you. It's about the situation or about another person and their own confusion and the shit that's going on with them. With the Six of Swords, you're not dealing with that anymore. I'm not going to be in a situation where, things are not realistic, right? And I don't necessarily feel like it's about fears and anxieties. I really think that you had a lot of strength and a lot of patience with this situation, but you're getting to the point where it's just, I can't do this anymore. I need to move on from this because their confusion is what's causing me problems. Future conditions, the King of Swords. Yeah, you're not going to deal with the illusions and unrealistic expectations from other people. You tried as much as you possibly can. You don't understand, and it's like, forget it. I'm not doing that anymore. The King of Swords, that as you in future conditions absolutely is about you thinking clearly. If somebody else is going to refuse to think clearly, then I'm going to be the logical one here. I really feel like you're dealing with somebody who's just like all over the place. They don't know what the hell they feel. They don't know what they think. They don't know what the hell they're doing. And I think that for you, you just I can't deal with it anymore. Now with the King of Swords, I always look at that as what we're projecting outward, but absolutely, like I said, it's like because of a person that you're dealing with here, but you are the logical one. You're the reasonable one. But I look at the Six of Swords and I think that there's at least some level of difficulty in moving on from this. Like, it's not something that you wanted to do. I mean, clearly here was strength coming through because you tried. Your best path to follow, the Hermit. Yeah, you need to shut them out. Shut them out. This is you basically saying, I can't deal with the confusion of another person, other people. I can't deal with their inability to focus on reality. You see it clearly, but they don't. But it's directly affecting you to the point where it's time to go now. But I look at the Hermit and think that, yeah, definitely you want to take a time out to get a clearer understanding, search for that star, your star, right? The deeper soul searching. But you're still being led, though, to this place where it is time to, literally here, turn your back and move on from somebody who's not willing to face reality. Wow, Aquarius, the hell are you dealing with? Okay. All right, in your environment, the Empress. Now, I don't necessarily feel like this is having to do with the other person here or people you may be dealing with. I feel like this is you, because I'm looking at it connected to strength. And I'm looking at, you in your environment right now with the moon trying to be nurturing, trying to be caring, trying to be understanding, but also trying to pull somebody back to reality. But you're not going to be able to. You're eventually going to have to say, I did everything I absolutely could. I need to move on now. They're not willing to see things for what they really are. I can't continue to be in this space. Sorry, guys. I got to plug this in. Otherwise, I'm going to lose my battery. And hopefully you guys can still see. All right. Sorry. I always forget to charge that fucking thing. Always. But anyway, with the Empress, like I said, I feel like that's you. But I think that you're getting to the point now where you realize that you need to be able to enjoy your life. There's nothing more that you could really do to help this person. And that's basically how I'm seeing this. Okay. Your hopes and your fears, the Six of Cups. And, I look at that and I think, absolutely we're going back to the past here with strength and you hoping that you're going to be able to pull on that past strength. But I also look at the Six of Cups and I think that this is a place that you've been before. You know how this situation is going to end up. And like I said, I think that you've tried everything that you possibly can and that there isn't much more you can do. But there's also the history there and that kind of attachment to the, emotional memories, And I think that for some of you, you're hoping that somebody will come back to reality or come back to the way that they used to be. Wow, Aquarius. And then coming out the Fool. For you, it's, I can't do this anymore. I need to take my own path. And it's, you having faith that what you're doing is the right thing, not just for you, but I think for the other person by just, removing yourself from the situation. There's really, and I hate saying this, there's really not anything else that you can possibly do. And we could definitely be talking about somebody that you're dealing with that may need to seek counseling. And no matter what you say, it's like they don't listen to you and they can't come back to reality. But I look at the Fool coming out and I'm looking at you straight through here. Like, I need a new path. I need to take a leap into something else here, or at least need to have faith that me moving on from this is the right thing to do. And then the Queen of Pentacles. Here's what I would say to this, because I look at that with the Empress and I think that, for some of you, you feel like you have at least some level of responsibility, to create stability and security for someone else. But I think that you need to really think about, yourself now. And it's not that you're being selfish here, but I really feel like there isn't anything else that you can do. There's nothing that you can do to bring this person out of the past. There's nothing that you can do to bring them back to reality. They just don't want to be a part of what is happening in their world right now. And I do think that you're doing everything that you possibly can to help them. But I think that for you, it's you need to move on. You have to move on. So with the Six of Pentacles, like I said, I don't think that you are worried about receiving anything here. I think that you've been, very selflessly giving, being the nurturing one here, being the supportive one, trying to, get this person to come around. But with the Seven of Cups with the Moon, absolutely, we're talking about you dealing with a person here where, damn, man, they would rather live in fantasy than reality. And that's basically it. They're not willing to make a choice. They're not willing to do anything or take any action that is going to make a fantasy become reality. But I think that they're being very, unrealistic in terms of, what to expect though from you, because you can only do so much. I look at the Fool and I think that for you, looking at that though too, some of you may have like taken a huge risk, and you may be like regretting this though too when it comes to being involved with this person, because again, I still feel the difficulty with the Six of Swords. And then looking at the Hermit, I need to be alone now. I need to think of myself. I need to think about creating my own security and stability instead of being wrapped up in this situation where nothing is going to be realized, or this person is never going to do anything to come back. Wow, Aquarius. And now I understand with the prison wave why, there's the thoughts of it's never going to work. I've done everything I possibly can. Being totally burnt out on the situation. Damn, man. And again, general message, you'll know if this is your situation, if you're dealing with somebody like this, because I'm telling you, I don't think that that's you. I don't think that that's you at all. I don't think that you would allow somebody to keep you in a place of illusions. I do think that there's history there. I think that there is, a lot of good memories, but this is something that, is not ever going to work out or be realized here with the Seven of Cups, no matter what you try to give. And I think that you may feel like you did something foolish by taking a risk with this and giving what you could. But we're also talking about, with the Fool coming out, you being able to take a new path completely here, right? And seeing the reward of the risk that you're taking by moving on and moving away and not doing anything anymore, because I still see you with the King of Swords thinking clearly, but then also getting to this place where you're emotionally detaching from this now. And then assurance. Everything's going to be fine. Everything's going to be fine. If you completely leave this behind, everything's going to be okay. Assurance to me is always saying that this is you wanting assurance from the universe that everything's going to be okay before you choose to do something. But this is the universe reminding you that everything's going to be okay. Compassion. This is not just about having compassion for another person, but also having compassion for yourself. And realizing that, having your own balance here is more important. So have compassion for yourself. Get back to a place where you feel a little bit more balanced and know that everything is going to be fine, even if you have to leave somebody behind. And narrow pathway, tread thoughtfully. Okay. So I look at that and I think that, you need to kind of like be open to, other blessings that are going to be coming into your life. But when we're talking about narrow pathway, you're talking about, needing to be careful about the way that you move on from this, or the way that you, move away from someone. Like, I still feel like you need to kind of pull on the loving energy of the Empress. Like, be careful in the way that you choose to act or the things that you choose to say. There is a blessing that is going to come out of this situation. And you may feel like you are forced into this narrow pathway, though, too. But, be careful about your next steps, right? But definitely, I think moving on from the situation is going to be the best thing for you. And you need to start, taking yourself into consideration right now, especially if you're in a situation where it's not secure. It's not secure for you, because I still look at that Queen of Pentacles and think that you're going to have to be responsible for creating security and stability for yourself coming out of this. There's much else that you can do, but definitely everything's going to be okay if you move away from this, or if you make the choice to move on once and for all.